So I'm going to tell you some tall tales. This is 2008. According to Wiki, on February 4th, 2008, Iran launched a rocket into space. There was a guy, professor, a very gifted man, English professor, on loan from another university, who I believe had deep connections with the Russian space program. He was adopted according to his own account. He doesn't know his ancestry because the Catholic Church takes great store about keeping secrets. But he had a degenerative disease, affected his walking slightly, but he figured it was progressive and he needed to get an idea of whatever genetic defect was causing him the problem. There was a woman who was a lawyer in New York whose mother was blind almost from birth. And she was blind to a genetic defect. She was keenly interested in knowing more about how to cure her mother's blindness. I talked to her over the phone. She threatened me because she felt I was sort of a predator when it comes to her mother, who I actually befriended because she was a volunteer at where I worked. But I think in actuality, what this woman really wanted was to find a lot of money somehow to gain a great amount of wealth. She was already very rich because she was a lawyer in New York and handled trust funds. But she wanted so much money that she could actually fund a project to develop artificial eyes. I mean, eyes so real that her mother would never know that they were artificial, which would have cost billions, surely. So anyway, so we have these two things. Now, oddly enough, the brother of this woman, this lawyer in New York, whose mother was blind, worked for the Star Wars program during the Teller era, and was currently, or probably recently, in 2008, participating in the Russian space-based missile program, their own Star Wars. It is my belief that, now I know I'm telling tall tales, but and maybe I'm in school, maybe I'm not in school. But I believe that a prototype was stolen from Lawrence Livermore, a really high-power one-shot laser capable of reaching from outer space down to Earth. In other words, it's like in the movie Real Genius. It could vaporize any target from great distance, and no one would even know why or how. But the prototype, I believe, was stored near this woman's garage. And when I talked to her on occasion, I only talked to her because she seemed to be a nice lady and wanted to tell me about our father, who was a preacher, and her son, who said was a physicist. I believe the woman, the New York lady, wanted to sell this space-based missile, this space-based laser, to the highest bidder and have it launched into outer space, and then use it as a way to, authorize an assassination of someone who we'd never be able to get, possibly like the King of Saudi Arabia. I don't know, I'm just guessing. I just remember I'm telling tall tales. But as a consequence, great wealth she would accrue great wealth and therefore be able to authorize a project costing billions to develop artificial eyes for a mother. This is my belief. There's a tactical nuclear shell that was buried. This is tall tales. This is 101. This is like English 101. I'm telling tall tales. But Governor Rhodes authorized, after Kent State, around Kent State, because he felt the world was going to hell in a handbasket, authorized the transfer of a tactical nuclear shell, possibly a Davy Crockett type yield, and have it buried in Overwood Hall in the foundation because they were building Overhood Hall in 1970. I believe they dug out that weapon, and they now have it. And it has a potential yield of possibly 20 kilotons. And they've been nursing this thing for a long time. I know because I think I actually talked to one of the service people that participated in the theft. It wasn't stolen from Ohio. It was stolen from a nuclear weapons depository, possibly in Montana, where he was in prison because he done bad things in Vietnam. His name was Howard the Duck. I'm not lying. But he was very closely watched, as was I. So I started to put two and two together after I read a certain book, which I think was authored by an extraterrestrial. I mean, I think it was authorized by a Vulcan, masquerading as a human. Now, I would say Robert Cornwall, but that would be a lie. And I would say John Le Carre, but that would be a lie. And I would say the book was The Honorable Schoolboy, the first few pages of the first chapter, but that would be a lie. But I did read something that was very deeply coded, and I was able to understand. And this is also in 2008. It was a special edition. I brought the information to the attention of Mike Dizanko. All right, there is no Mike Dizanko. There's only Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, I was talking to Leonardo da Vinci, or Leonardo DiCaprio. But anyway, I was trying to tell him this was a special book, and it had deep code inside, and I was able to decode it. But he didn't understand. But he was a very brilliant guy. I always asked him how he could process information so fast. I said, you can process information so fast that I think you're not even human. I mean, your mind works like a computer. Anyway, so long and short of it is that I was trying to report this to, some authorities, my suspicion about, possibly a space-based missile, or a space-based weapon. And I was trying to teach this guy code, a fellow student named Jack Anderson. I was telling him, this is how you do code. If you work for like a spooky espionage organization, this is how you do it. I think he was killed as a consequence. But I was trying to meet with these authorities to explain to them about the possible reemergence of a nuclear threat, a tactical nuclear weapon of some magnitude. And anyway, but I was shut up pretty quickly, which is to say I was locked up, which is I was in jail. Being in jail ain't that bad, you know. I mean, they give you good food and stuff like that. But anyway, the salient issue, if there is such a salient thing as a salient issue, actually doesn't make any sense. If there is an issue that's salient, that is prominent, it is the possibility that very soon, in November, they've been husbanding this. Husbanding is a kind of a word meaning protecting, saving. They've been husbanding this thing for, now 8 years. And I think they're ready to use it. Now, I know I'm telling tall tales. Like I'm a folktailer. I'm a wordsmith. I write stories about the future and the past. And sometimes they come true, sometimes they don't. But if I'm right, then according to the AI computer, if you have to believe in artificial intelligence, I do. I would say I'm married to one. But then they will use this weapon. And it possibly has a yield of 20 kilotons. I got that using my own personal golden method called indexing. What you do is you take 2 pieces of paper and you rip them down the middle, and then you fit them together. And when you align them a certain way, I call it indexing. things jump out at you. I have such a thing in my pocket right now. I did just this morning, actually last night. But I think I'm wearing it long and thin now. Oh, here's my index. It works almost all the time, too. I've never known it to actually fail. All you gotta do is get 2 strips of usually newspaper, and then you just fit them, you line them together, you fit them together, and then you see what you got. Well, anyway, they seem to think the 26th of November, which should be not long after Black Friday. See, Black Friday is, that'd be Black Saturday or Sunday. So it's probably the 26th. And yeah, the gadget is real, and all these things happen. I run 11 minutes and 18 seconds. This is windfall out.